beautiful people. All right. I am made new. Happy Sunday, beautiful people. Cousin, hey girl, hey. Shayla. Vinette, greetings. Anita, greetings. Set apart living. Grand rising. Imajania. Shalom, shalom. And everybody else here that choose to hang out in the background. Happy Sunday to you. All right, y'all. Let's get started here. Let's get ready to rumble. All right, y'all. Today we are starting in the appendix. Let's see how far we can get today. I wonder, I don't know. We might. I don't think we're going to get through all this today. We'll probably be a couple days in the appendix and then definitely just one day in the book of Ranathan or Light from Heaven. It's like 4 pages. Solid. Hey, you. When did you come back downstairs? When did you come back downstairs? Oh, you just came down not too long ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. At the foot of his bed. Yeah. Just in case y'all heard that, he says they let him sleep under his bed, not under his bed. He was at the foot of Isaiah's bed. All right, y'all. Father, we thank you that you are the coolness of the day. And that could be looked at one or two ways. Like you can have a whole word play there with the coolness of the day. Right? All right, y'all. It is Sunday, October the 23rd, day 200. I'm sorry, October the 23rd, 2022. Day 244 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1263. Today we're starting in the appendix, and it is entitled Book of Knowledge, Book of Oahspe. And we're going to read this introduction first, which starts on page 747. We're just going to keep on moving like that. Shebrew, hey girl, hey. Ki la olam kasado, hey girl, hey. Infinite risings. Kendra, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. The appendix. Introduction. The 2 apocryphal books in this appendix did not appear in any edition of Oahspe. Oh, we're going to take a vote. Well, yeah, maybe a vote. Right on the appendix, because I got and I was going through it. I was like, oh yeah, we probably should read through all of this, but I'm not sure just yet. I'll let y'all think about it. I asked again at the end. I'm not sure if we should read it like by itself, like we read Oahspe by itself, or if we should read it like we did when we was doing the Bible and we started reading the apocryphal books there. We read 30 minutes of the Bible, then bringing the apocryphal books and read 30 minutes of that. Because that's what we're about to start doing when we start over. But and yesterday I got approval from Miss Martinez. She got back in touch with me. She said, yes, she said at any time I can read any of her books aloud. She's excited about the things that we're going to do for our Father's kingdom together. I was like, okay, sis, thank you. Right? And so I'm not sure exactly how I want to read it yet, but I definitely want to read it. Right? Okay. So think about that. Think about it. Think about it. Because it's about half the pages of this. It's like 400 something pages. And thank you, Jamia, for sharing the link for all of those apocryphal books together in the PDF. I was looking for a printed version. They don't have it yet. Nobody's printed it. Well, you can purchase it on Amazon. So, but yeah, just think about it. Think about it. All right. I'll just start over. The two apocryphal books in this appendix did not appear in any edition of Oahspe, but most definitely the Book of Knowledge and possibly the Book of Oranathan were taken from printing plates made by printer John Land in 1881 from the original manuscript of Oahspe. Who would have known? Like, this is the second time we've seen John Land in here, right? Who would have known? Like, when I came across his name the other day, I didn't even know he was mentioned in here the first of yesterday when we was reading this footnote A on page 746, where it mentions his name for the first time. Okay. The two apocryphal books in this appendix did not appear in any edition of Oahspe, but most definitely the Book of Knowledge and possibly the Book of Oranathan were taken from printing plates made by the printer John Land in 1881 from the original manuscript of Oahspe. The origin of the Book of Oranathan is more obscure than the Book of Knowledge. For the former might have been written after Nubaro arrived at Shalom, not having been a part of the original manuscript at all. For reasons that remain unclear, the lamp plates were never used and a new set of plates were created for the eventual 1882 edition. Well, we know now why they weren't used, right? But when they was penning this version and the footnotes and stuff, they may not have known, but we done figured that part out. Nazarene, the scene, Shalom, Global Purpose, Grand Rising. For reasons that remain unclear, the lamp plates were never used, and a new set of plates were created for the eventual 1882 edition. The few lamp plates that survived were in the possession of Justine Nubaro, John Nubaro's daughter, and were copied by E. Wing Anderson, who published the 19th Global Purpose. This is the one you sent to me yesterday. They want $350 for. The only one that I've seen, right? They say $350 or make me an offer. So I made them an offer. And it won't nowhere near $350. I'm like, how much I paid for the regular Oahspe? $30? I might really want this. I offered them $100. Right? I offered them that. I started to just match Oahspe, but then they might have just laughed me off. But they may not have, because it may not be anybody else bidding on it that wants it, right? So we'll see. They got 24 hours to respond to me. And either laugh in my face like, what you think this is? But hey, if you don't ask, you never know. Listen, okay. The few lamp plates that survived were in the possession of Justine Nubaro, John Nubaro's daughter, and were copied by E. Wing Anderson, who published the 1935 edition of Oahspe, as well as subsequent editions that came to be known as the Blue Oahspe. But E. Wing Anderson did not include either of these books in any of the editions he published, because the plates were an incomplete set. The Book of Knowledge is also incomplete with an unknown number of missing parts. So remember, this edition that we have is the lowest edition. Elijah, Shalom. Audrey, Shalom, Shalom. I have not asked her, but I am going to ask her about the plates in Mexico, right? And I got to call my uncle, because they sent me a message last night. They said, give me a call later. We know somebody in Mexico. I'm like, I'm super excited. But before I get too excited, we need to find out exactly where in Mexico they are at. I mean, in New Mexico. I'm sorry, in New Mexico. So, but I'll keep y'all updated. I be getting excited over the smallest stuff. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Let me just go back to the few plates that survived. The few lamp plates that survived were in the possession of Justine Newborough, John Newborough's daughter, and were copied by E. Wing Anderson, who published the 1935 edition of Oahspe, as well as some subsequent editions that came to be known as the Blue Oahspe. But E. Wing Anderson did not include either of these books in any of the editions he published because the plates were an incomplete set. The Book of Knowledge is also incomplete with an unknown number of missing parts. It is clear, however, that this book was either composed of sections that were edited out of the Book of Ben before publication, or both books had been a part of a larger common book. The student will notice that many parts of both books are held in common. The verses that either appear in the Book of Ben or had some recognizable variation in the Book of Ben were as follows. Okay, I had to double check my Roman numerals real quick before I read this out. Oh, look. Jamil, I know, right? She said, I told my husband I may be going to New Mexico during the winter break. Research. I know, right? Listen, okay. Chapter 1, verses 15 through 19, verses 27 through 28, verses 40 through 41, and verse 26. In chapter 2, verses 28 through 38 and 40 through 52. In chapter 4, verses 31 through 35. Chapter 6, verses 25 through 38, and chapter 7, verses 1 through 2. The book of Oranathan could also be an incomplete fragment, and if it had in fact been part of the original manuscript, the place in which it would have appeared remains unclear. Finally, it seems that the introduction to the book of Safa, as well as the caption under the plate Tree of Languages, were taken from the lamp plates as well, but the editors chose to place them in the main text of this edition, since they did appear in E. Wing Anderson's 1935 edition. Since both books might have been taken from the original manuscript, the editors believed it would be appropriate to include them in an appendix because they still are of academic interest. All right, and that was the introduction. So let's go to the next page, page 748. And it's entitled Book of Knowledge. Fritz, peace and blessings, brother. Over here on Facebook. Okay, chapter 1, Book of Knowledge, page 748. Jehovah spake through his sons and daughters. His voice came up out of the marsh and down from the heavens above. And the children of men heard and saw and raised up because of the Spirit in them. And they answered him, Who is Almighty? And their voices were called Te, because it is the universal word of all children born. So doth it represent the universal prayer of man. Te said, Reveal, O Father, give me light. I behold the wide earth, the sun, moon, and stars. Hey, little boy, I'm surprised you awoke. You just went to sleep like 3 hours ago. Why you up? Te said, Reveal, O Father, give me light. I behold the wide earth, the sun, moon, and stars, but the great vault of heaven is as an empty sky. Where is the abode of the dead, the place of the souls of men? In times past, thou hast quickened seers and prophets, and through them lifted up thy children and proclaimed other worlds. Am I more dumb than those in past ages? All the while myself and forefathers have withstood thy mighty presence. Thou hast quickened my members by thy own hand to be dissatisfied by the old revelations, and made me to peer deeper into the cause and place of things, and to desire further light from thy holy place. By thy power hath my manhood been raised up. By thy power and wisdom only will I be appeased. When I was a child, I believed as a child, because it was told me. But now that I am grown up, I would know who thy prophets were and who they and how they attained their gifts and wisdom of words. The cosmogony thou taught me in the olden time was sufficient for that day, but I am raised up by thee to receive the sun and stars of other worlds and their travel in thy great firmament. Now I cry out unto thee, where is the promised heaven? Where is the proof of immortal life? By thee was I quickened into life and made conscious that I am. To thee I come in the majesty thou madest me, thou my Father. By thee was I made determined to sift all things to the bottom. In thee do I know there is magnitude to encompass all my holy desires and answer me. Give me of thy light. When I was a child, I besought thee as a child. Now I call out in manhood, thou hast bestowed upon me. I will know thy lords, thy gods, and thy saviors, and thy promised heaven. I have scaled the mountain, thy myriads of corporal worlds that travel in the eternal sea of space. I have beholden that all the stars in heaven would not feel the hollow of thy hand, yea, that thy brethren move the universe. Hold on. Let me read the whole sentence again. I have beholden that all the stars in heaven would not feel the hollow of thy hand, yea, that thy breath moved the universe. The glory of thy works hath inspired me with madness to come to thy mighty home. Speak, O Jehovah. Thou alone can assuage this soaring spirit that sprang forth from thee inspired. Give me light. I have encompassed the earth around and bridged the nations thereof with assimilative words. My, my geography is finished. Give me a book of heaven. I have burrowed deep in corporal knowledge and seen the drift of all the earth. Where is the spirit world and the land of the dead? Give me light. Cosmon said, Jehovah heard the voice of Tay and answered him. He said, let the angels of heaven go down to earth. My blessed son called to me in wisdom and truth, and the angels of heaven descended to the earth, for it was in the time of Danha in the firmament of heaven, and the angels manifested and proved the immortal life of men. Jehovah said, let this day, March 31st, 1848, be the beginning of the reign of Cosmon, the day after my birthday, right? Clearly, I wasn't born in 1848, right? I wasn't born to a whole lot longer later. March 30th, 1979. Jehovah said, let this day, March 31st, 1848, be the beginning of the reign of Cosmon, for it is the beginning of the wisdom of the earth being conjoined in my name. Tay said, the half is not yet answered, O my Father in heaven. Since thou hast proved the immortal life, thou hast stirred me to my soul's foundation. Whence come these whence come these inhabitants of the unseen world? Where lieth this footstool for thy majesty? If when I am dead, I shall see the place, is not the germ of that sight already in me? How am I made that I see, but see not this? Hear, but hear not this? If I am now dead to that which is to be, will I not then be dead to what is now? Give me light, O Father. Oh, what a wonderful question. Let me read this again. Verse 15. We're on page 748, Book of Knowledge. Yes, baby. Huh? What? Chase is upstairs. Go look in the boys' room. He in there with the boys. My brother? Yes, your brother. Verse 15. If when I'm dead, I shall see the place, is not the germ of that sight already in me? How am I? Yes. How do you know? You haven't even gotten all the way up the stairs. Where is he? Do you see him? Yeah, I see him. Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected. Thank you. He's in the loft. Okay. If when I am dead, I shall see the place, is not the germ of that sight already in me? How am I made that I see, but see not this? Hear, but hear not this? If I am now dead to that which is to be, will I not then be dead to that which, to what, getting tongue tied? How am I made that I see, but see not this? Hear, but hear not this? If I am now dead to that which is to be, will I not then be dead to what is now? Give me light, O Father. Jehovah said, Man, I gave a corporal body that he might learn corporal things, but death I made that he might rise in spirit and inhabit my ethereal worlds. Two senses I gave to all men, corporal and spiritual senses. Nevertheless, the twain are one person. A man with corporal senses in the ascendancy chooseth corporal things. A man with spiritual senses chooseth spiritual things. Two kinds of worlds have I made, corporal and S worlds. He who desireth of corporal shall receive from corporal, for he is my son, in whom I am well pleased. He who desireth from S shall receive from S, for she is my daughter, in whom I am well pleased. And S is spirit, right? Just like, listen, oh my gosh, I just thought about something. Look, this is a wordplay. The son in whom he's well pleased, and the daughter whom he's well pleased. Our flesh is considered masculine, our spirit is considered feminine. And this is not the only place this has this, right? Because even remember when we was reading through, the first time I actually came across that, where I began to recognize it, was when we were reading the legends of the Jews. And it always alluded to the spirit of man in the feminine form, because we're spirit of his spirit. And if we all, men and women, are considered brides, then he would then be the husband, right? So masculine and feminine, right? But now it's talking directly to the two parts of man, right? The flesh, which is considered masculine, or a son, and the spirit, which is considered feminine, daughter. Listen to this again. Verse 17, page 749. Two senses gave I to all men, corporal and spiritual senses. Nevertheless, the twain are one person. A man with corporal senses in the ascendancy chooseth corporal things. A man with spiritual senses chooseth spiritual things. Two kinds of worlds have I made, corporal and S worlds, or the spirit world, S. He who desireth of corporal shall receive from corporal, for he is my son, in whom I am well pleased. He who desireth from S shall receive from S, for she is my daughter, in whom I am well pleased. This is beautiful. Cosmon said, because man liveth on corporal worlds, corporal is called son, but because man in spirit liveth in the S world, S is called daughter. I did not read ahead and look at that. Tay said, because thou hast sent angels to me, and I have seen them and talked to them face to face, yea, of my own flesh and kin, and proved them to be the spirits of the dead. Verily, I know this much is true. Yet hey, if you want to turn it on, go take that up to the loft, please. Take it upstairs. Take it upstairs. Grab it before I keep rolling. Grab it. Take it upstairs. Or do you don't want it? Okay, well, leave it alone. Don't press no more buttons. Boy, you shoot me with that gun, I promise you I'm gonna come after you. How old is you, boy? Oh, my dad got a better gun. I don't care. My little 3-year-old grandson, he just. So? Verse 20. Tay said, because thou hast sent angels to me, and I have seen them, and talked to them face to face, yea, of my own flesh and kin, and proved them to be the spirits of the dead. Verily, I know this much is true, yet I cannot see them nor hear them, save they manifest through corporal things. How then shall I know that they know one another? Hear me, O Jehovah. Am I still a child and must need to fall back on angels' testimony? Hast thou not given me an inquiring spirit that I must prove things to my own knowledge? Verily, I have seen an angel's face, and stature changed to look like another person, even whilst I talk therewith. If these things are thus so subtle, cannot even our own presence mold them to truth or falsehood? Such a witness is of no value. When then, O Jehovah, shall I find growth for mine own members, that I may know the S worlds and the inhabitants thereof? I will not be appeased by merely seeing the spirits of the dead, nor by their testimony. They may call themselves God, Christ, Buddha, Brahma, Confucius, yet I will not rest on them or their word. To thee only, O Jehovah, will I put forth my plea. I am thy son. All right, this is wisdom here, because if we understand correctly, the guardian angels and those already in the unseen realm or in the S world, the spiritual world, that is in line with the keynote or in line with the Father of the Father's light, that's helping us to grow higher, raise us higher. A requirement of them is that they not manifest themselves unto us, right? Which helps us learn how to tap in and decipher where the information is coming from, right? But those spirits that manifest themselves to us, right? If you call out to them, all happenings comes from the first resurrection, right? All of those happenings come from the first resurrection. Everything second and above is going to be spirit to spirit. Like, you got to come up higher, my G, right? This is what we're trying to bring you. So those who can learn the way to mount the throne can in and of themselves learn how to get to the top, right? That's what it said. Somewhat. Hold on. Let me find that. Is Oahspe College University here? BC, peace, family. Where is that? Hold on. I hold on. I think I remember where it is. Let me look. Oh, 564. It's in the book of Psalm. Hold on. No, it's I don't think, but let me look though. Chamber of Prophecy. Where is that scripture at in here where it says those who when it was talking about prophecy, those who wanted to be the prophets to climb the throne? What is it in cosmogony and prophecy? You know the verse that goes, those who oh, you driving. Oh, okay. Well, if anybody know, right? Those who it was in the gist, it was talking about how do you teach people how to correctly prophesy, right? And what it was saying, at least in my understanding, chambers of prophecy. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, I want to read it word for word because I'm screwing it up. Hold on. 568. And I know I got it highlighted. Hold on. Vedic Chamber of Prophecy. Later. Okay, you'll get to me later. College of Prophets, where it was saying that a part of learning how. There you go. Yeah, that is it. I'm sorry. Chamber of Prophecy, right? Page 564. God said, before learning to approach the foot of the throne, what profit is it to show them the way to mount upon the throne itself? Preserve, therefore, the secrets of prophecy for such as apply themselves to keeping Jehovah's commandments. Preserve, therefore, the secrets for such as apply themselves to keeping Jehovah's commandments. Those who have attained to the foot can of themselves find the way to mount upon it, right? I don't disagree with everything in the book of Psalms. I just got a few questions, right? But we got to check out the whole thing. But that right there, I find that to be true, right? because that's just something that like that's a natural principle to me that would seem to take place. You got some people that's always asking for instruction on how to do this and how to do that, where some people just get to work. If you don't want to tell them nothing, oh, don't worry about it, we're gonna figure it out anyway, right? And then they're gonna figure out the things that's been hidden from them, right? Just like when we go bike riding, right? We take all the kids bike riding, we hop on our bikes and we'll ride the neighborhood, go out to the park and stuff, but on the way there's this hill that we pass by as we get out of the neighborhoods, and it goes into the field. And so the kids, my older kids, they like to take their bikes and push it up the hill because it's a little too steep for them to ride it up. But they take their bikes and they push it up the hill to the top so they can come down. So when my grandbaby here, but my grandbabies, well, it's only one that can do it. When he came, they had been doing it for a couple weeks, right? So now he come with his bike and we get there, and mind you, he's the same age as Bella. They were 5. Well, he just turned 6 and she'll be 6 in a few days. So even Bella, the first couple times she see the boys, I want to go up. It's like, well, if you can get your bike up the hill like they did, then you will be able to go down as well, right? And so she's like, I need help. I say, no, you don't. Because if you want to get up there, you see what they did. If you can't push your own bike up there, probably mean you're not strong enough yet, or might not be safe for you yet to go up that hill and come down by yourself. And I told her, I said, if you can push your bike up there, you can also come down, right? So for a couple of days, she tried it and she got up there. So every time they love stopping past that little hill and they push their bikes up, right? They push their bikes up themselves. Nobody helps them. They push them bikes up themselves and they come down flying in a flat open field, right? And so when my grandbaby came, they got to the hill again, and here come Bella. She pushing her bike up, and Jace was like, oh, because he still had because he's just now riding, right? So he still got trainer wheels on. He's just trying to keep his balance because we was going for such a long ride. And so he was like, Cookie, pop, can you help me take my bike to the top? We said, nope. If you can push that bike to the top, you can go down. So for the first day, he's like, he watching them excitement and stuff. He tried to go up, push it like halfway. He having all this trouble, struggling, getting his bike up the hill. I'm like, he'll get it. I wanted to go over there and help. I was like, we help Bella. He a little stronger than her. He can get that bike up that hill, right? So the first day didn't happen. He was kind of saddened because also on the way back, we stopped and they do it again as we go back home. So the second time we went bike riding, he said, I'm gonna go up the hill next time. I was like, we know you are, son. Next time we went out there, which was the very next day, he got out there, and it took him a little while to get up there, but they all waited for him, right? Because they knew he was coming. He was like, don't leave without me. And he did. He got his bike up that hill and came down. He was so excited. And then when we came back, go back home, riding back this way, they did it again, and him along with him, right? So I just thought that was good and read it again. God said, before learning to approach the foot of the throne, what profit is it to show them the way to mount the throne? What profit is it to show them the way to mount upon the throne itself? Preserve, therefore, the secrets of prophecy for such as apply themselves to keeping Jehovah's commandments. Those who have attained to the foot can of themselves find the way to mount upon it. I just thought about that when I was reading through this, right? Okay, we'll keep going. Verse 21, it's a long verse. Look, I'm going to just start it. I'm going to read it again. Page 749. Hear me, O Jehovah. Am I still a child and must need to fall back on angels' testimony? Hast thou not given me an inquiring spirit that I must prove all things to my own knowledge? Verily, I have seen an angel's face and stature changed to look like another person, even whilst I talk therewith. If these things are thus so subtle, can I even our own presence mold them to truth or falsehood? Such a witness is of no value. What then, O Jehovah, shall I find growth for my own members, that I may know the S worlds and the inhabitants thereof? I will not be appeased by merely seeing the spirits of the dead, nor by their testimony. They may call themselves God, Christ, Buddha, Brahma, or Confucius, yet I will not rest on them or their word. To thee only, O Jehovah, will I put forth my plea. I am thy son. Thou hast quickened me to know things of my own knowledge, and though it be told me, thus saith the Lord of thy God, yet will I raise my voice ever above them. And though a spirit say, I am thy Jehovah. Believe thou me, I will deny him. Thou hast quickened me to rise up above the tales of the ancients and to demand knowledge from thy throne. By thee is my soul moved to this magnificence, and only thy magnificence can satisfy thy son. Since I have seen the spirits of the dead, I will know their abiding place, how they live, how they travel, their manner of growth, their food and clothes, and how they spend their time, whether they labor or live idly, and above all, how far and in what manner their corporal lives had to bear on their spiritual happiness in heaven. That's good. He is really paying attention, asking some detailed questions, and making some profound statements of observation. Give me light, O Jehovah, not by word of mouth. I will have my members quickened, that I shall comprehend within myself, yet not one alone. Rather waste me in annihilation than not to give it unto all men or teach the way. For if one alone, he would become a God amongst men. Jehovah forbid this. Jehovah spake through his sons and daughters, and Cosmon said, Hear me, O man, I will speak in wisdom. Follow thou my counsel and be wise. What then hast thou learned in the manner? What then hast thou learned in all time of the earth? Canst thou tell why the grass is green, or why one rose is red and another white, or the mountains raised up, or the valleys sunken low? Knowest thou how all the people of earth clothe themselves or travel? Why man was not to fly as a bird or live in the water like a fish? When came the thought of shame? Even thyself thou dost not comprehend, and know of thine own knowledge the time of thy beginning. Thou knowest 3 times 3 are 9, and even this thou cannot prove but by symbols and images. Nor is there aught in thy corporal knowledge that thou canst prove otherwise, save it be thy presence, and even that thou seest is not thy presence, but the symbol. Oh my gosh. Listen. He said, even when you go look in the mirror, what you see is not even your real self. It's an image of what is. Nor is there aught in thy corporal knowledge that thou can prove otherwise, save it be thy presence, and even that thou seest is not thy presence, but the symbol and image of it. For thyself is but as a seed, a germ of the Father. Be wise, therefore, in knowing thine own knowledge, and of a surety write the matter from the side of the S world. Tay said, I will reason with thee. Hold on, I gotta write the matter from the side of the S world. That statement right there is profound in itself. Be wise, therefore, in knowing thine own knowledge, and of a surety write the matter from the side of the S world. Tay said, I will reason with thee, Jehovah, for all I know shall be based on science and truth. From thine own perfection am I inspired to this end, and my talents shall be strengthened by pursuing the exact sciences of all known truths. Neither will I put away my own judgment, nor accept for truth that which is at variance with thy established laws. Thou madest both the seen and unseen. They are at war or in harmony. My body is made of earth and stone and water. Is the spiritual body then not made of air, oxygen, and hydrogen, and imperceptible dust? The angels thou hast sent The angels thou hast sent have feet and legs. Wherefore do they walk on the air or wade through it? They have no wings, they cannot fly. They have not seen the illustrious angels who have been long dead. Must I also go into the S world simply to meet my neighbors and never salute the wise of olden time? Give me light, O Jehovah. Something within me maketh me to anticipate the light and glory of what I have not seen, but I must have it tangible and demonstrable, or being able to demonstrate it. Something within me maketh me to anticipate the light and glory of what I have not seen, but I must have it tangible and demonstrable, the immaculate truth. We good? I just want to make sure. Okay, I saw some comments coming. I just want to make sure I didn't go out and everybody was like, girl, we can't hear you. Okay. Verse 33. But anyway, Nazarene, the same faith is shalom. Something within me maketh me to anticipate the light and glory of what I have not seen, but I must have it tangible and demonstrable, the immaculate truth. Then answered Jehovah through his daughter Esphoma. Esphoma said, hear me, O Tay. I will speak words of wisdom and truth, and thou shalt not depart from my word. Science is that which the ignorant look up to, but seeth not. Is a ship science, or a stone arch, or a machine? Verily not. Is the idea of these things science? Can an idea be science, or a multitude of ideas? Is it not said of the man who findeth the vertebrae of an insect, he is scientific, but he who findeth the backbone of a horse is a vulgar fellow? Another man findeth the route over a mountain or through the forest, and he is scientific. Why? A dog can do this. Another man findeth a new way to solve problems, and he is scientific. But the pupil after him who doeth the same thing is nothing. Who then are the scientific? For have they not all borrowed, compiled, and only added a little? Verily then, what is science? Is not the sand glass more scientific than a clock? What then meanest thou by science? Is not the sum of it all but a figurehead, undesignable and without foundation? Yet all thy life thou hast heard of science, and so have thy neighbors, and ye understand one another, though not one understandeth himself. As Foma said, hear me further, O man, for this of all things should stand high in thy soul. Ain't that something? I'm tripping off this last thing. Listen. What then meanest thou by science? Is not the sum of it all but a figurehead, undesignable and without foundation? And this is a sentence right here I was talking about. Yet all thy life thou hast heard of science, and so have thy neighbors, and ye understand one another, though not one understandeth himself. Right? Y'all got all this understanding and knowledge, but you don't understand that meat putrefies in your gut and kills you. Right? You don't understand. Well, we won't start. As Foma said, hear me further, O man, for this of all things should stand high in thy soul. Take now therefore the chalk, and write thou 10 for me. Tay took the chalk and wrote 10, saying, that is 10. As Foma said, now I will convict thee before thine own face, that thou hast uttered falsely. Thou hast written but 2 strokes and called them 10, or 1-0. You wrote 2 strokes and called that 10. As Foma wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 number ones. Yet be not surprised, O Tay, for now I will convict myself also, inasmuch as I have deceived thee. I said I would show thee 10, and straightway I made 10 marks, wherefore I should have written the word 10. All this wordplay. Now thou art wise. Nay, hear me further, for all I have spoken is false. For have I not tried to persuade thee that the one uttereth word that nay, hear me further, for all I have spoken is false. For have I not tried to persuade thee that the one uttered word 10 was 10, wherefore I should have uttered 10 utterances? Pursue thy studies, O Tay, and thou shalt find the supposed that supposed exact science is nothing, and that supposed truth is only falsehood compounded and acquiesced in. Find thou the time the sun will rise tomorrow, and thou art scientific. But deviate thou the 10,000th part of a second, and thou art not scientific. Nay, thou art a falsifier before Jehovah. Yet be not discouraged of the exact sciences, or of finding the truth according to thy judgment. Thou art wise to desire to attain knowledge of thine own self, and not to accept neither from man or angels on belief merely, but wherein beginneth and endeth thyself. Hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed the body, and the field of its wheat, and the young corn that was growing? Give to them their parts, and what hast thou left of thy corporal body that is thine own? Wow, that is good. Give to them their parts, and what hast thou left of thy corporal body that is not thine own? That's interesting. Because yesterday when I was reading in the the Essenes Gospel of Peace, it said something just like this. That I forget exactly where. I think it was in the first book. No, the second book. I was in the second book, and it was talking about your body is all of what you eat, right? Whatever you eat, that makes up your body. But it said it in different words, but it's the same thing. So it's just saying, give, hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed the body, and the field of its wheat, and the young corn that was growing? Give to them their part. So give back to them everything you've taken from them to feed your body. Yes.
The girls have guns.
The girls have guns?
Yes.
They can. Why?
Why do girls have everything?
Boys got guns too. You got a problem that girls can have the same thing as boys?
Yeah. Girls can have guns, real guns.
Bella gonna tell you. They the same age. They look alike. Sometimes they be trying to be in competition, but not. You got Jace, well, boys can do this, well, girls can do this. Bella, I'm like, why are y'all like this? Hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed the body, and the fit? Because we put that in there until we get the right thing for it, because Bella broke the shelf down when she stood on it. Yeah, close it up, please. Page 750, verse 43, chapter 1. Hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. It's just, they waking up. Hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed the body, and the field of its wheat, and the young corn that was growing? Give to them their parts, and what thou hast left of thy corporal body, that is thine own. Yet less than these hast thou of thine own judgment. Yet less than these hast thou of thine own judgment. Hold on, it's too loud. Hold on. Okay. Nobody else touch it. All right, go back to there. I'll be done. Well, you gonna be hungry till I'm done. We do this every morning. Let her go. Let her go. Let her go. Bella, leave her alone. Let me 43 again. I'm sorry, y'all. Hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed the body, and the field of its wheat, and the young corn that was growing? Give to them their parts, and what thou hast left of thy corporal body, that is thine own. Yet less than these hast thou of thine own judgment. Go upstairs. Everybody to the law. Go. You too big, girl. Go. Go. Stay up there. Stay up there so I say I'll come back down. I'm sorry, y'all. It's the weekend. If y'all been here, y'all know the weekends tend to get a little loud. Say la shalom, shalom. Tabitha, hey girl, hey, listen. Okay. This is my 14th time. That's a little bit exaggeration, but one more time because I still think I'm reading it off a little bit. Let's go to 42. Yet be not discouraged of the exact sciences or of finding the truth according to thy judgment. Thou art wise to attain knowledge of thine own self, and not to accept neither from man or angels on belief merely, but wherein beginneth and endeth thyself. Hast thou not robbed the tree of its fruit in order to feed the body, and the field of its wheat, and the young corn that was growing? Give to them their part, and what hast thou left of thy corporal that is thine own? Yet less than these hast thou of thine own judgment. Thou art but the fragment of an entity in all thou knowest of thine own knowledge. 9 parts to 10 are the gleanings of thy surroundings. Wherefore then shalt thou expect to know the laws of earth or heaven? Give ear to my words and be wise in thy proceedings. Is it not a law of the earth that earth's substance shall fall to it? Yet thou seest a tree come up out of the ground, 10,000 corporal pounds, and stand erect in the air. Has Jehovah made one law to pull one way and another in another way? How knowest thou there is any law about the matter? Knowest thou of thine own knowledge? Chapter 2. Tay said, now do I perceive, O Jehovah, I am not wise, and that of myself I am nothing, having nothing. Neither is it possible for man to discern truth in abstract, nor thy laws, whether thou hast laws or hast not laws. Nay, he cannot adjust the scales of his own self and prove what part is his alone, nor in fact if he has any entity of self within himself. How then shall I comprehend the magnitude or the laws of thy universe? Yet in what time of my life have I not talked learnedly of these things and of the exact science? Hear me, O Jehovah. I will not go back to the ancients to learn wisdom, nor will I shut up my eyes against trying to understand. In thee only have I faith. And since all other things in heaven and earth are thine, there is no one else to whom I can come justly. Give me light, O Jehovah. Thou who gavest me myself shall answer me. What then is the true pursuit of man? Shall he be a beggar and pray for light and yet not receive it after all? Jehovah answered Tay through his son Korpor, saying, Korpor said, hear me, O man, for my wisdom shall be borne home to thee. Neither will I discourage thee in thy knowledge. Know then thou art, and that thy body is made from the corporal earth. Jehovah is sufficient, for Jehovah so made thee. To thee he gave the desires of the earth. Is it wise then to defer corporal happiness until thou hast risen in heaven? What mattereth it to thee whether thou art built up out of wheat and the fruits or flesh? Is it not sufficient that thou canst enjoy the building thereof? What is science to thee, or truth or laws of the universe? Is not thy earth life sufficient for earth, and the earth for thee? If Jehovah made the earth in wisdom, has he not also wisely made heaven? Leave off these abstract studies, O man, and be content in the place thy father has assigned thee.
Mommy,
Thou that talkest of science.
me and these fingers from Caesar.
No, you can't. Go back upstairs to the loft.
What? Mommy, drink down this.
Go back upstairs, girl. Verse 8. Leave off these abstract studies, O man, and be content in the place thy father has assigned thee. Thou that talkest of science understandeth not thyself, and art without explanation. Neither canst thou define truth. How then canst thou judge or even know what is before thee? Thou talkest of laws divine and natural, but knowest no law, no divinity, no nature. Is law a thing? Whether does it keep? Thou seest the tree grow, but puttest Jehovah away, and sayest, Behold, it is growth by natural laws. Art thou ashamed of Jehovah, that thou sayest, He groweth, that saith not, He groweth it? Is He not sufficient? Wherefore sayest thou, Nature, save, but to put Him away and deny His person? Let me read that whole verse again. Verse 9. Thou talkest of laws, divine and natural, but knowest no law, no divinity, no nature. Is law a thing? Whether does it keep? Thou seest the tree grow, but puttest Jehovah away, and sayest, Behold, it is growth by natural laws. Art thou ashamed of Jehovah, that thou sayest not, He groweth it? Is He not sufficient? Wherefore sayest thou, Nature saved, but to put Him away and deny His person? Corpor said, Is not the earth good, that thou turnest away, calling, Heaven, heaven, give me light from thy far off worlds, endow me with signs and miracles and prophecies. I will not discourage thee, but thou shalt be wise and happy in thy dwelling place. Are not these greater to be desired than all things else? To this end is the cosmon era to come. To this end is the cosmon era come, not to carry man up to heaven, but to found the Father's kingdom on earth. Thou hast wisely asked, How shall a corporean's life affect his life in the next world? Hear me then, and be wise in thy corporal judgment. For am I not corpor, Jehovah's? Science is great learning is great. Truth is great, but greater than all is to know how to be happy. Thou shalt not put me away, saying, All the earth is sin. I will not have it. For if thou profitest not in Jehovah's person, how can thou attain to his spirit? For are not the twain his person and his spirit the all one? Teach thyself to be happy and to perfect thyself the way Jehovah hath created thee. Tay said, Now I will be wise in thee, O Jehovah. Neither will I more talk of nature nor of law, but when I mean thee, I will speak of thee and to thee. Neither will I boast of science, nor of learning, nor of truth, nor will I deny them. For as thy spirit is within and over all, what is science and learning and truth but glimpses of thy all light? Yet as a man, proud in his estate, I come before thee, saying, Give me light. I have looked over the broad earth and found it in full. I have looked over the broad earth and found it full of sin and misery and death. I will not pray to thee to remove these things. I will not meddle in thy affairs. What more is what more is it at best to pray than to beg? By thy spirit I am no beggar. As thou goest forth in majesty, so am I, thy son, inspired to go forth in thy behalf. If thou hast filled this world full of darkness and sin and misery, I gotta highlight this prayer verse, prayer and begging verse. If thou hast filled this world full of darkness and sin and misery and death, what more can I hope to find in heaven? Are they not both the work of thy hands? My hope hath ever looked ahead for the achievement of happiness, and when the time cometh, I am sorely tried. My judgment teaches me, therefore, that heaven can be at most but little improvement on earth. Then give me light, O Jehovah, for I will answer the children of darkness with good argument and teach them to glorify thee in thy works. Then answered Jehovah through his son Uz, saying, Uz said, Behold me and my power, O Tay. I am the fourth dimension, the vanishment of things unseen. Thou hast labored with Cosmon, but found not, and with Corpor, and found not. Hear thou me and be wise. This thy corporal body is mine. Thy flesh waiteth for me. And the moment thou relinquish thy hold, I will molder thee into dust. Yet I am not thy enemy. For whilst thou art master over thy flesh, I will touch it not. Y'all better highlight that. Listen, right? Look, if you are the driver of your own body, Ain't nobody else taking over. Your spirit should be driving your own flesh. You should not be in the sunken place in your own body while another body drives, right? While another entity drives you. And there's a lot of that going around, right? Let me read this again. And remember, ooze is a representative of darkness or Satan, anything that is opposite of our creator, of Jehovah, right? Of our Father. Anything that's going to bring destruction and tearing down. That's what ooze is, right? You can be a Uzian. Don't be a Uzian. Listen, Uz said, "Behold me and my power, Ote. I am the fourth dimension, the vanishment of things unseen. Thou hast labored with Cosmon, but found not, and with Corpor, and found not. Hear thou me and be wise. This thy corporal body, or this flesh, this thy corporal body is mine. Thy flesh waiteth for me, and the moment thou relinquish thy hold, I will molder thee into dust. Yet I am not thy enemy, for whilst thou art master over thy flesh, I will not touch it." If you relinquish your hold over your body, if your spirit step back and just do as thou wilt, as the Uzian world tells you to, then the Uzians and all the laws and the all the repercussions that come along with Uzian lifestyle and living in ooze is going to begin to happen to your flesh. Remember why? Because your flesh belongs to ooze anyway. It is corporeal, right? Your flesh comes of the earth. If you relinquish it and let it go, what happened if you leave meat unattended? It's gonna rot. You leave your meat unattended, it's gonna rot in more ways than one, and you gonna stinketh. This thy corporal body is mine, thy flesh waiteth for me, and the moment thou relinquish thy hold, I will molder thee into dust. Yet I am not thy enemy, for whilst thou art master over thy flesh, I will touch it not. Bronze yoke, shalom. Out of the darkness, man is brought forth a blank, and his entity is a spark of Jehovah. His entity will never cease to grow. Yea, from the hour of yea, from the hour of conception, it is a new star in the world, and it magnifieth itself over. The trials of the flesh to man are as nutriment to his spirit's growth, and yet think not that thou shouldest rejoice in thy neighbor's trials, saying, it is good for his spirit's growth. But as Jehovah gave all he had, and thus made all things, be thou like unto Jehovah, and give to the man in trial, lest thou robbest thyself. Thou knowest not how far thou hast been lifted up thyself. Can any man with his own hands lift himself up in the air? Flatter not thyself then that man alone can lift himself up in spirit, or that he hath power to evolve himself one generation above another. Do not all nations perish as they come up out of darkness? Do they not go down in darkness? Is it not unwise to say, O Jehovah, why didst thou thus or not thus? All thy questionings will not turn Jehovah or his plans one jot or tittle. Turn thine eyes inward, then, O Tay, and seek to adapt thyself to the Father and his kingdoms, which of which this earth is one. Tay said, how can I comprehend thy wisdom, O my Father in heaven? I am tripped up at every corner, and yet I perceive that my generation is wiser than the ancients. Wherefore then didst thou stir me up? The ancients found joy in an idol, were content with eat and sleep, their faith being equal to their wisdom. But these that come after cried out unto thee for wisdom, and thou gavest. Thus am I born above the faith of the ancients. I have grown beyond the measure of thy olden revelations. My soul crieth out to thee for more light. I know that thou hast sufficiency for all things. Give me wisdom that I may help myself. Had I been born in darkness, the idols of my forefathers would have been sufficient. Hear me, O Jehovah, in what I have done. I have measured the earth and high standing rocks, and the mountains thou rearedest up, and the valleys thou had scooped out. Thy footstool has shown me a record not written by man, and it proclaimeth the earth millions of years old. How then can I shut up my understanding which thou gavest me and believe the books of the ancients? Have I not? Yea, I have measured the stars in thy firmament, and the sun and moon, and weighed them, and they proclaim a greater glory unto thee. Their number is more than there are drops of water in the ocean, and many of them 1,000 times larger than the earth. I have found them rich in air and water and heat and cold, and they proclaim themselves birthplaces for men, even as is the earth. I have measured the light and computed the time of its coming, and lo, they also have existed for millions of years. Wherein have I done wrong in this? Thou gavest me my talents, and thou hast forever pressed me forward to search thy glorious works. A man cannot make himself a small child, neither can I compress my outbursting soul, which hath ripened on the magnitude and glory of thy works. How beautiful was that? Hold on. Let me read this whole little portion again. Go back up to verse 33. Yahweh Grand Rising. Look, verse 33 on page 751. I have measured the light and computed the time of its coming, and lo, they also have existed for millions of years. Wherein have I done wrong in this? Thou gave me my talents, and thou hast forever pressed me forward to search thy glorious works. A man cannot make himself a small child, neither can I compress my outbursting soul, which hath ripened on the magnitude and glory of thy works. How then shall I say that thy worlds, which have run millions of years, were created by a man born 2,000 years ago? Boy, you better say something. How then shall I say that worlds which have run millions of years were created by a man born 2,000 years ago? Y'all ever know that number? Y'all ever realize that number 2,000 stays 2,000? Why is it not 3,000 or 4,000 years? 2,000 years ago, this happened. Your Savior. How many generations y'all been telling the people 2,000 years? Right? I'm just curious. How then shall I say that worlds which have run millions of years were created by a man born 2,000 years ago? Must I stoop myself to blaspheme against thee for sake of swallowing the idols of men in darkness? Forbid thou this, O Jehovah. Now I will put my question to thee plainly, and thy voice shall not fail me. Wherefore then did not thy angels of olden time reveal to man the truth about thy works? Or if they revealed the truth, why permittest thou man to lose the truth? Give me light, O Jehovah. Thou madest me. Thou art my father, and I am come to thee in majesty, and by the power thou gavest me. None shall stand betwixt me and thee, neither thy lords, nor thy angels from heaven, nor any man that is on the earth. I will know why thou permittest idols of stone and wood and graven images. Yea, I will know why man buildeth an idol on earth, or imagineth one in heaven. I know thou art sufficient unto the worship of all men. Wherefore then have men set up Muhammad and Brahma and Buddha and Christ and the prophets of old? For these idols have they cursed the whole earth around about with war and destruction. Give me light, O Jehovah. Jehovah heard the voice of Tay, and he answered him through his son Cephas. Cephas said, hear me, O man, and be wise, for I will answer thee because of the justness of thy questions. Yea, I will answer thee, and also put thee in the way to prove all things to thine own judgment. But be thou not puffed up with conceit, thou art little in advance of the ancients. They erected pyramids and obelisks and great temples, and they said, behold, how greater and wiser we are than the ancients. Thou also hast boasted, saying, behold, our ships of war. Behold, our engines and railroads and the telegraphs. How greater and wiser are we than the ancients? I charge thee, the pyramids and temples did not raise up the poor and cause them to glorify the Father because they were born into life. Neither do the warships in this day, nor the engines, nor the railroads contribute but little to raise man up out of sorrow and poverty. Is not this the true scale to weigh the resurrection of men and nations? Be considerate and wise in the Father's sight. This is just right to the deepest parts of your shanana, right? Yo, be considerate and wise in a father's sight. Thou art prone to overlook all things. Thou beratest idols and graven images without weighing thy speech. What more are the letters of a written word than graven images? Doth not all the wisdom in books hang on these? Nor canst thou prove a single problem in mathematics without graven images and idols and symbols. To a man, wow. Y'all hear what he just said? He said, you berate the ancients, but you are doing the same thing. It just looks a little different. And everything you do, you are doing, you using the same thing. Images and idols and graven symbols to repeat. Yes, baby. No, I don't even know how he got there. His father must have gotten some and had them in a room because he can't reach those out there in their freezer. Y'all get out of here. Come on. Where you getting them from, Jackson?
From my dad's room.
From your dad's room. Your dad still asleep?
Mm-hmm. He didn't let them have it.
I know he didn't let them have it.
I did.
Y'all get out the kitchen. No, you can't. Look, listen. Let me read this again. What, girl? Well, you go talk to Jackson. I'm sure he won't share either. Lord, they about to fight. Listen, let me get through this again. Where we at? We had an hour and 12 minutes. Okay. Let me. I think we still gonna be here for like a few more minutes and they don't get too loud. Hey, y'all, go to the loft. Okay. Verse 40. No, 39. Jehovah heard the voice of Tay, and he answered him through his son Cephas. Cephas said, hear me, O man, and be wise, for I will answer thee because of the justness of thy questions. Yea, I will answer thee, and also put thee in the way to prove all things to thine own judgment. Okay, you done snuck one from somewhere. Go on back through there. Go. Cephas said, hear me, O man, and be wise, for I will answer thee because of the justness of thy questions. Yea, I will answer thee, and also put thee in the way to prove all things to thine own judgment. But be thou not puffed up with conceit, but be not thou puffed up with conceit, thou art little in advance of the ancients. They erected pyramids and obelisks and great temples, and they said, behold, how greater and wiser we are than the ancients. Thou also hast boasted, saying, behold, our ships of war, behold, our engines and railroads and the telegraphs. How greater and wiser are we than the ancients? I charge thee, the pyramids and temples did not raise up the poor and cause them to glorify the Father because they were born into life. Neither do the warships in this day, nor the engines, nor railroads contribute but little to raise man up out of sorrow and pity. Is not this the true scale to weigh the resurrection of men and nations? Stop, Jackson. Don't do that to her. Stop. Don't do that. Be considerate and wise in the Father's sight. Thou art prone to overlook all things. Thou beratest idols and graven images without weighing thy speech. What more are the letters of a written word than graven images? Doth not all the wisdom in books hang on these? Nor canst thou prove a single problem in mathematics without graven images and idols and symbols. To the loft, y'all. To the loft. Bella. Yeah, y'all two go. Go to the loft. You're going to be thirsty till I'm done. Y'all doing the most. You too. Follow him, Jackson. Verse 45. To a man who never saw a hat without a sign or image or symbol or an idol of one, or by one itself, how wilt thou convince him? But if thou hast none to show him, then wilt thou make something of some corporal thing in order to convey his mind, in order to convey to his mind that which is in your mind. Let me read that again. Verse 45. To a man who never saw a hat without a sign or image or symbol or an idol of one, or by one itself, how wilt thou convince him? But if thou hast none to show him, then wilt thou make something of corporal thing in order to convey to his mind that which is in your mind. Yeah, I get that. You trying to explain something to somebody. Like a pen. Well, what is a pen? Something. Okay, so you know what a stick look like, right? Yeah, I know what a stick. Okay, so imagine a stick. It has like ink in it. Like you begin to describe. If you don't have one to show, well, this is a pen, right? If you don't have something, you're gonna start looking around trying to find something that's close or similar to what you're trying to convey to them, right? I get that. To a man who never saw a hat without a sign or image or symbol or an idol of one, or by one itself, how wilt thou convince him? But if thou hast none to show him, then wilt thou make something of some corporal thing in order to convey to his mind that which is in your mind? Why then complainest thou of the angels of old? Wert thou then with Asu, who could not talk? Bethink thee what stratagems thou wouldst have resorted to in order to teach him to think. Talking about the first man, right? For it is not the greatest, for is it not the greatest of all wisdom to teach man to think for himself? Is this not better for man than to reveal all things to him? For in the latter case, thou wouldst deprive him of the use of his own talents and thus thwart the plan of Jehovah. Right? So what this is saying in summing it up, instead of just always telling people how to do something, like I mentioned the other day, like I may tell my little children what to do and how to do it, but my older children, I'm going to ask them questions to get them thinking on their own, to help draw out what's already in them. That's what this is saying. Wert thou then with Asu, who could not talk? Bethink thee what stratagems thou wouldst have resorted to in order to teach him to think. For is it not the greatest of all wisdom to teach man to think for himself? Is this not better for man than to reveal all things to him? For in the latter case, thou wouldst deprive him of the use of his own talents and thus thwart the plan of Jehovah, which is why the Father just always gives us puzzles to solve, right? He's trying to draw out of us what he knows is already deep down within, right? And y'all hear me say all the time, it's like, you know what, why do you always gotta give me puzzles? You sending me on scavenger hunts, why don't you just tell me? He said, oh, well, that would be no fun. We had this conversation going back and forth with the creator, right? It's like, why don't you could literally just tell me this, but you know it's gonna take me 2 months to figure this out when you already know. You could just tell me. Well, it's that same principle, right? It's the same principle. Let me go back and read it again. It's the same principle that we find here. What page is that? Y'all know I'm going. It's the same principle that's in place. Earth is my footstool. Got that. Hold on. Page 564. God said, before learning to approach the foot of the throne, what profit is it to show them the way to mount upon the throne itself? Preserve, therefore, the secrets of prophecy for such as apply themselves to keeping Jehovah's commandments. Those who have attained to the foot can of themselves find the way to mount it, right? What you say, BC? I believe our creator is basically saying we all must do the work ourselves. Exactly. I'm with Tabitha. Exactly. This is the same thing. You want to come down that hill, son, with them? You got to learn how to get that bike up there. You got to build up the strength. You must push your own bike to the top of the hill because you're going to be the one that's going to have to bring it down. If you're not strong enough to get it up there, then it might not be time for you to go. You can go when you can take it yourself. Because if I take it up there, now we both going to be standing at the top of the hill and you might be a little bit scared. You can be crying, I don't want to go down now. Now I got to take it back down for you, right? So no, if you can take it up yourself, you can also come down yourself because you know with every step that I'm getting closer to the top, and either I'm going to choose to keep going and come down, or I'm going to have to stop right here and turn around and go back down. It's going to be your choice either way, right? Those who have attained to the foot can of themselves find the way to mount upon it. Okay, listen. Let's read this whole verse again. It's long, but I'm going to read it again. Verse 46. Take by, hey girl, hey, why then complainest thou against the angels of old? Wert thou then with Oahspe, who could not talk? Bethink thee what stratagems thou wouldst have resorted to in order to teach him to think. For is it not the greatest of all wisdom to teach man to think for himself? Is this not better for man than to reveal all things to him? For in the latter case, thou wouldst deprive him of the use of his own talents and thus thwart the plan of Jehovah. Just like with baby chicks that are hatching, right? You see them hatching, using their little neck strength to crack out of that shell. We think, oh, he's coming out of the shell. Let's help him crack this shell, right? But we think we're doing something good. But the baby gains strength and fortitude to even be in this world by learning how to crack his own shell. The Father has put this principle in everywhere, in everything, right? Plants that don't come up above the ground, if you go down, okay, this is about the time of germination, the period should be ended, the seedling should be coming above ground. You going down there and helping that seedling pop his head above the dirt. Go get your shoes and put them on then, girl. You helping that to happen actually cripples them, right? Because now if you have to help them come out, you're going to have to keep helping them, right? You're going to have to keep helping the process, and you're going to cripple them. Just like giving somebody money all the time, when they keep asking, you cripple them. They never learn how to stop and see, what in the world am I doing with my own money? Why I keep tricking off my own money? I tricked off my money. Can I have some of your money so I can trick it off too? No, you can't. Learn how to handle your funds, right? It's the same principle, right? Those who can attain to the foot, right? Those who get to the foot can learn how to get to the top in and of themselves. They got to get control over their own selves. They have to have the strength and fortitude to keep growing by themselves, standing on their own 2 feet, right? Listen, for in the latter case, hold on. For is it not the greatest of all wisdom to teach man to think for himself? Is this not better for man than to reveal all things to him? For in the latter case, thou wouldst deprive it. For in the latter case, thou would deprive him of the use of his own talents, and thus thwart the plan of Jehovah. Thou hast portraits of thy wife and daughters, for they assist thy memory to recall their beauty to thy soul. But when thou desirest to convey to thy friend's mind a place he never saw, thou bringest him a landscape picture, saying, behold, this is the place. Now thou utterest a falsehood, for it is only a piece of cloth painted, whilst the place thou speakest of is land and trees and water. Bethink thee now thou hast resorted to falsehood in order to convey a truth to thy friend's mind. Was such a falsehood, if it really succeeded in conveying a truth? Or couldst thou convey the truth to thy friend by a falsehood, say thou wouldst have taken him to the place? How then could the angels of Jehovah teach man of Jehovah but by idols and of graven images? Weigh the matter, and thou shalt perceive that knowledge is conveyed from man to man by idols and images. Even the sound of a spoken word is an idol of an idea. Girl, wait, I didn't even say, Bella, go ahead and talk. You just keep going. Wait, girl. Put it down. Put it down. Y'all about to go outside. Don't take that outside. Listen. Thou hast, page 752, verse 47. Thou hast portraits of thy wife and daughters, for they assist thy memory to recall their beauty to thy soul. But when thou desirest to convey to thy friend's mind a place he never saw, thou bringest him a landscape picture, saying, Behold, this is the place. Now thou utterest a falsehood, for it is only a piece of cloth painted, whilst the place thou speakest of is land and trees and water. Bethink thee now, thou hast resorted to falsehood in order to convey a truth to thy friend's mind. Was such a falsehood if it really succeeded in conveying a truth? Or couldst thou convey the truth to thy friend by a falsehood, save thou wouldst have taken him to the place? How then could the angels of Jehovah teach man of Jehovah but by idols and graven images? Weigh the matter, and thou shalt perceive that knowledge is conveyed from man to man by idols and images. Even the sound of a spoken word is an idol of an idea, and the idea is carried within that which is not the real thing itself, but merely wind. Oh my gosh. This is bringing a whole new light to these on why gods and lords and the idols were, and this tells us, right? But we're out of the play school days where when you at play school you have these models and stuff that the teacher trying to teach children. You have like the teacher, or you have like houses, you have models, which are really idols, right? They're models to convey a principle, right? But that time has passed. We no longer need idols and models and stuff. Now we should be able to maturely talk about these things and understand that those idols themselves were not the actual thing. It was just a representation of something that you were trying to convey to somebody to help them understand. I'm just like, verse 48. Let me read this whole thing again. Verse 47. Thou hast portraits of thy wife and daughters, for they assist thy memory to recall their beauty to thy soul. But when thou desirest to convey to thy friend's mind a place he never saw, thou bringest him a landscape picture, saying, Behold, this is the place. Now thou uttereth a falsehood, for it is only a piece of cloth painted, whilst the place thou speakest of is land and trees and water. Bethink thee now, Bethink thee, now thou hast resorted to falsehood in order to convey a truth to thy friend's mind. Was such a falsehood if it really succeeded in conveying a truth? Nor couldst thou convey the truth to thy friend by a falsehood, save thou wouldst have taken him to the place? How then could the angels of Jehovah teach man of Jehovah but by idols and graven images? Weigh the matter, and thou shalt perceive that knowledge is conveyed from man to man by idols and images. Even the sound of a spoken word is an idol of an idea, and the idea is carried within that which is not the real thing itself, but merely wind. Thy corporal senses can only be reached by corporal things. Spiritual things, of which ideas are a part, can be conveyed by S force and without idols and images. Give heed to my words, and thou shalt find the way to thy father's kingdom. This is good. If you can get that bike up the hill yourself, you can get it yourself. Give heed to my words, and thou shalt find the way to thy father's kingdom. Having taught man of Jehovah through stone and wood, it was necessary next to teach him by means of spirit that Jehovah was disassociated from the earth. Otherwise, man would not have desired to rise to the heavens any nearer. To this end, man was taught that Jehovah's sons had ascended and were sitting on his right hand. And thou speakest not to the picture of thy wife, neither shall thou worship the Lord, nor Buddha, nor Christ, but Jehovah alone. As thou speakest not to the picture, as thou speakest not to the picture of thy wife, neither shalt thou worship the Lord, nor Buddha, nor Christ, but Jehovah alone. These idols, these representations of who the Father is, you don't speak to the picture of your wife. Don't you go directly and speak to your wife? Neither should you talk to Christ and Buddha like they're the Father. They're a representation giving you what the Father says, but you go talk directly to them. Don't go talk to the picture. Now, easy. Listen. Page 752. Listen. This is blowing my mind. This is so simple. This all seems elementary to me while I'm reading this, but this is blowing my mind. It's just, listen. Having taught man of Jehovah through stone and wood, it was necessary next to teach him by means of spirit that Jehovah was disassociated from the earth. Otherwise, man would not have desire to rise to the heavens in Ethereum. To this end, man was taught that Jehovah's sons had ascended and were sitting on his right hand. As thou speakest not to the picture of thy wife, neither shalt thou worship the Lord, nor Buddha, nor Christ, but Jehovah alone. He is sufficient unto all men and nations, and acceptable to them. Be not angry with the past, but broad in thy perception. For all things, whether stones or wood or men, are from Jehovah for the ultimate resurrection of the souls of men to his Ethereal worlds, for their own happiness and to glorify Jehovah forever. Yo, this was good. That was a long chapter, y'all. That was 52 verses. Where we at? An hour and 31 minutes. All right, y'all. This was just the first chapter of the book of knowledge. Yes, son. I'm sorry. No, not. I'm sorry. Not chapter one. We read 2 chapters. Yes, you can. I'm sorry that we read 2 chapters, y'all. Okay, let's see. Let me see where we at. Kizzy Shalom says, nap in the house. All right, y'all. It's Sunday and they didn't got quiet. I'm gonna take a vote from y'all. Y'all want to read one more chapter or just go ahead and pause it? We had an hour. Y'all, I don't know if I'm about to end it yet.
I can end it.
I'll call y'all. Y'all going back to doing what y'all was doing. First answer gets it. Keep reading one more chapter or pause, save it for tomorrow. And this is the last Sabbath we're coming upon too. So we're going to be changing the day that we rest. Pause. All right. First answer gets it. We pausing right here. Okay. All right, y'all. Let me put my page number. 747. What's up? 752. Okay. All right. So we'll pause right here. Let me check something real quick. Now, I already told Si he can end it too. He asked first. Yep, he asked first, girl. We probably got 2 more days reading this too. Yes.
The other time,
Possibly
you
3
can let
days.
me end it another time.
If you ask first, yes. All right. So it looks from where we paused at today, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or like about 11 pages, front and back. About 11 pages left. If we read half of that, and break that up in 2 days, that's 2 days. It's gonna take us 1 day to read this last part, the book of Aranathan, 1 day for that. So 3 days. We possibly will be starting. It's just a rough guess, right? In 3 days. So we got Monday, Tuesday is a Sabbath. 1, 2, 3. It's possible we will be done Thursday, the 27th, and possibly starting over at the beginning this Friday, meaning when we start over, we will begin at 6:15 a.m. in the morning. So definitely by this weekend, like I said, I'm gonna keep reminding y'all every day. It depends if we get through this in 3 days. Well, it'll be 4 days, including the Sabbath, because we won't be here for that day. Friday, we're gonna possibly be starting over, and Friday will be our. I'm not quoting it just yet. It's possible that Friday will be our new start time at 6:15 a.m. we'll just keep seeing it day by day, but just kind of be prepared, right? Just be prepared. Just mark Friday. This is the possible day, right? But I'm gonna definitely let y'all know. And on the day before when we start, definitely, and I'm gonna post it everywhere, right? That that we're gonna be moving up an hour earlier, right? Moving up an hour earlier. They are some long chapters. Oh, y'all trying to read another one. Man, y'all know when I be asking y'all, first answer wins, right? First answer wins. If y'all hear me there, that mean I'm waiting for an answer, and the first answer wins. If I go back and say, then I have to like violate my, not that we can't change, not that we can't. Every, you know what? Y'all got to take that up with the person that gave that. Y'all, everybody ask Vanette. I'ma wait. Y'all ask Vanette because Vanette said Paul. She was the one that gave the first answer. I don't know. Y'all ask Vanette. But I mean, if she come back and be like, okay, then. But as of right now, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. So y'all gotta ask Vanette. I'll wait 1 minute. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Don't look like nobody asking Vanette, so I think we're gonna close this out. Tick was like, we can do one more, please. One more chapter. Please, Auntie. Just one, please. Tick was saying, Vanette might be done clocked out. She said, I ain't fooling with y'all today. Bye. Look, and then I ain't gonna be able to get an answer from her, and then we're gonna have to close it out. The minute is almost up. I mean, I'm here. The doors of the church is still open. Oh, Vanessa said pause. Mama said pause. All right, y'all. So sorry. We'll be back here tomorrow. All right. First answer gets it. I'm sorry. All right, y'all. It is Sunday, October the 23rd, 2022, day 244 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1263. Today we started in the book of Knowledge, which is labeled the appendix in big blue. And we started on page 747 and we read all the way to page 752. Father, we thank you that not only are you the coolness of the day, but you are the heat in the cold nights. We thank you. Like Tabitha said, oh God, I thank you, right? Clearly like God being, not saying like God, like the referring to creator, right? Oh, creator, I thank you, right? Oh, Father, I thank you. All right, y'all. But that's it. I love y'all. I will see y'all back here. Another quick reminder, when we start over, like I shared in the beginning, Miss Martinez gave us the okay. She said you can read any of my books anytime, right? I'm just summing it up what she said, but I'm like, yes, sis, thank you so much, right? So but yes, so I got the approval to read along when we start over the Oahspe, and we're gonna, if you don't have it, I ain't saying you got to go get it because we're gonna be reading it, but they do have it on Audible. They got it on Kindle, and you can get the hardback version from Amazon. So this is what I call the lab part of class. Like when we bring in the extra stuff that it's like a companion reading with the meat of what we got going on to help bring out some truths and things that help us just kind of expand our understanding of what's going on. So this, I really wanted to do this one first, right? Because this answers so many, not only this just kind of expanded it a lot with her research and her interactions with a lot of spiritual things. And y'all, if y'all watch any of my early videos, when I was just talking about the Bible, I was talking about all kind of crazy spiritual stuff that be happening to me, like what is happening, what is going on. Like I go back, I look at some of my videos, I was like, oh, I was such an infant. Not that I'm any more than that now, but I understand a whole lot more to where I come out of that I mean, I'm still kind of spooked out about some stuff, but now it's like I'm getting the courage to say, y'all better quit playing. I know you disembodied human brethren and sister, and it's y'all, right? And some when they manifest themselves, first of all, I know all the ones that want to play with you. First resurrection, you might as well call first resurrection school of shenaniganizers, right? That's why I call them shenanigans abound at the first resurrection level, right? Because they get joy out of spooking us out. They really do. Some of them do, right? It's just it's funny. It really is. But I understand a whole lot more than what I did before, coming from a Christian background and blaming everything on the devil, right? A lot of times it's not that. It really is. It could be disembodied family members who passed, could be family members or not even family members, somebody that's been stuck on the earth in limbo, first resurrection status, may not even made it to the first resurrection. They could be imbecile status and stuck on earth because they couldn't get certain things in their life under control, which literally pins them down to the earth until the time they're delivered, right? um but this brings I have all the versions, right? I got the Kindle, I got this, and I got Audible. And the Audible I've listened to twice all the way through, right? I'm like, oh, I'd be so ready to start this. But this helped answer a whole lot of spiritual questions that I had and things that was happening to me spiritually, and helped me kind of decipher between truth and error of a lot of things that I really didn't have. I was just kind of winging like most of my life, right? And the dreams and stuff and things like all this is great. Not that this is the go all it, but it is a great resource, and her resources are abundant in here. And she lists every single resource she came across right after each chapter. It's really really good. So I'm excited to start this. So when we start over Oahspe, we're gonna be reading Oahspe 30 minutes. And then or if we go a little over 30 minutes well, we can't go over too much because of our new time constraints. We'll keep it to like, well, normally I won't end it in the middle of a chapter. If we're a little over the 30-minute mark, it's because I wanted to end the chapter that we was reading, so we had got like a clear break. So it'll be 30 minutes of this, and then we'll do the last 30 minutes of this, right? I try to keep my introductions really short, because sometimes I could just talk. So, but yeah, y'all. So we'll be starting this Friday or Saturday. So like I said, if you don't have it, go ahead and get it. If you don't have it, can't get it, can't afford it, no worries. We got permission to read it. So you're going to get it either way. House or never, we're going to give it to you. All right, y'all. That is it. I love y'all. Let me double check any other questions. Kind of sometimes I do be a little scary, BC. You a scaredy cat, sis? Sometimes I really do. I sometimes I ain't even gonna lie. Sometimes, right? Vinette, I have not yet. Me and my husband was standing in the closet yesterday looking at my daddy's eternal flame. I'm like, oh my gosh. My husband's so funny. My husband looked up at the flame. He said, Daddy, we're gonna take care of you. I'm like, we need to get rid of these ashes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I kid you not, Vinette. I don't know, it's not hard, but it's like, I don't know. Not yet, but I am. Right, y'all? Seriously, I am. So, but yeah, I'll let y'all know. But bless you all. I love y'all. Josiah, Bella. If anybody don't know, we're talking about my daddy's ashes, or what we learned about here in Oahspe on how you properly dispose of the dead. Not that we keeping dead bodies, but my dad was cremated a few years ago, and we have they call it the eternal flame. If anybody's ever had anybody cremated, they give you like little keepsakes to where they take like a little bit of the ashes and they put it in a keepsake. Or with us, there's like, you ever seen glass flames? Like, here I'm about to give y'all an idol to explain something. So you ever seen a flame of fire, But anyway, they took glass and they made it a flame. And I think I might have showed it to y'all, but it's colors in it, right? There are pretty colors in it. And like it's this glass flame. It's probably about this big, that wide, and it's a glass flame. It goes up like a flame, and all the pretty colors are mixed inside. And they said, I still don't understand how they did. I honestly, I don't know, because they could be lying to us, telling us, yeah, some of your daddy ashes in here, and I still don't understand how you would have got them in there in the first place. It's like this is a solid piece of glass that you done cart. Like I don't, they could have, I don't know, but they said it's like a little keepsake or whatever. Like if you had like you visit somewhere and get a keychain, something like that, right? But the whole point of properly disposing of bodies is because when you don't, it leaves their soul um, they're in like a state of unrest until their bodies are disposed of properly, right? And it's like they'll hover, people who are murdered, they're they'll hover around the place where their body is, like if it's been hidden or in a river or whatever, right? Or in a house or something like that. Their spirits will kind of be like attached to the place where their body is until properly buried. And some of them not, and some places just stay haunted. Yeah, it was dipped in resin too. Yes, Angela. Yep, it is. So but me and my sister, we had talked about it. We just haven't done it yet because my other sister has another flame, but also a portion of it there is in like this keepsake box. And I joked about this a little while. I need to go talk to my aunt Anita. It's like, can we have the other piece of daddy back? Because we might just be throwing a leg and his arm over here, but you got all the other pieces, right? You know, it's like, how do I go and be like, can we have that back? Why? We want to get rid of it. You know, it might be like a little bit of a fight. So my daddy might be walking around in the spit. No, I'm joking, but you know, y'all get the gist of what I'm saying. All right, y'all. Yeah, have to release the ashes. Yeah, that's the like I said, the other portion. I don't know that it's gonna be a fight, but I don't know. I got to talk to my aunt Anita and see, because I don't know. They were the only. I don't know. We still trying to deal with this on how we're gonna do this. All right, y'all. I love y'all. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Oh, I see y'all tonight at 6 p.m. for the women's jank. I posted. I'm reading y'all comments. Love y'all.